Welcome back, and joining me with more insights on the day's trade is Cremen from Adviceworx. Caroline, thanks so much for your time today. Maybe let's start off with what you've made of trade over the past month. We are in the last day of trade for October. You know, we came in, rate cut bets were really high. Yes, we got that. But it doesn't seem like we're too sure we're going to get another cut in December. On the positive side, another trade truce between President Trump and his counterpart Xi Jinping. Also, those tech earnings coming through as well. We saw some of the bank earnings also quite upbeat. So let's start there. Just characterize the month that was.
Well, it was a bit all over the place. I think people are a bit nervous, because the market is kind of trading at all-time highs, especially some of those tech companies, So I think everyone's just always looking for something that's potentially going to derail it. So one of the things would be interest rates. So we got the predicted interest rate decrease, but now there's new uncertainty about another cut, and I think that is something new that has been introduced. So we're going to be panicking and biting our nails for the next few weeks about that. On the other hand, the China thing, I think it was probably a little bit overdone. We did have a little wobble when those tariffs were announced, but I think everybody kind of expects that it's just a negotiating tool, and things transpired as expected, and there's a little truce, and until next year when they revisit this and the rhetoric will dial up again. From the tech earnings, I think it was actually very, very nice, because I think there was a lot of worry about that. Do those valuations actually justify the multiples they're trading at? And for most of the companies, it actually looked very good. Unless you look at something like a Meta, where I think, again, we're never happy in the market. So now we're worrying about the amount of money these guys are spending on infrastructure. They are no longer capital-light businesses. They are capital-heavy businesses. Are they overspending? We'll wait and see. So we'll always manufacture our own reason to panic, but we've gotten through October and there wasn't a major crash, and I think we're all very happy about that, because September and October are traditionally not very good months.
Yeah, and talking about spending, Novo Nordisk seems to be eyeing biotech firm Metsera, somewhat pouring cold water on Pfizer's bid. What have you made of everything that's playing out there? I think Pfizer has a few more days to make a counter bid.
Yeah, and I think I saw something pop through my screen a bit earlier, is that they're actually launching legal action about this tender, so I'm not entirely sure what their issue is. But, Novo really, it's actually my stock pick, so you're probably going a little bit ahead of this, is that, they really do need to, I don't say reinvigorate the business, but almost like reinvent it and reposition itself, because it is seen, and maybe this is part of the reason for the fact that the price is low, is a bit of a one-trick pony. And I think this is also why people kind of attach a higher risk to it, a low valuation, as like an Eli. So good for that. I think it's coming at a time now also when there's a bit of a leadership crisis at Novo as well. So, to be doing a deal like this, in the midst of a lot of leadership shuffles I don't think it fills me with a great sense of certainty, but I think they need to do something, and we have to trust that they pick the right thing to do.
And moving over to another pharma counter, that is Aspen. Really big news out of the company as it won that manufacturing dispute, winning a settlement of about 500 million rands. I was speaking to another analyst, and he noted that he thought Aspen would have gotten even more money, considering the hit. It was 2 billion rands hit to EBITDA.
Yes, it was. But I mean, when I looked at that, I thought, it's almost like the little guy fighting the big guy. So I kind of assumed that you probably get nothing at all. So I suppose it's the glass half full or glass half empty. I'm glad they got something, and I probably, when I looked at how much the share price was up, I think it was only up about 1.5% when I had a look at it. So that probably reflects, some people may be holding out for a little bit more.
Yeah.
But, if you're a little African player and you go up against something that's kind of brutally big, 500 million is nothing to sneeze at, especially if you're Aspen. You really do need that money.
And then over in the telcos sector, before we get into your stock pick, Vodacom eyeing double-digit profit growth. Earnings could be as much as 45% higher. A pretty good update, right?
It was, but it's also very, very low base. So I think there were two once-offs in the previous results. So, and I think it was something about hyperinflation in Ethiopia or something. So it probably is a little bit flattered like that. So yeah, good, okay, not brilliant.
Not exciting you much. All right, let's get into something that actually excites you. You mentioned at the top there that Novo Nordisk is your stock pick. Anything more to add to your analysis on the company?
Well, it's just really the valuation. I mean, in 1 year, it's down 55%. I think it's trading at levels it was trading at about 10 years ago. So now there's a lot to be negative about it. You know, there is a lot of pessimism around the pharmaceutical industry as a whole, you know, with Donald Trump's attacks and Robert Kennedy's attacks on it. There's competition against US company, which is probably going to be favored by the Trump regime, Eli Lilly. And then, of course, we talk about that leadership uncertainty. But you've got to look at this. The anti-obesity diabetes market is a billion-person market. I mean, and it's only going to grow into the years ahead, and there's more than enough room for everybody else. And also remember, in the coming months, years, you're actually going to get the tablets as opposed to the injectables, and that's a massive market. So I think it's trading at about PE of 13. It doesn't justify the potential market and the products of this company. And I just think it's one of those things that is terribly undervalued, very unloved, unfashionable, but one company that is trading at a very decent valuation.
All right, so Novo Nordisk, one of your faves. Caroline, thanks so much for your time and sharing your insights with us today. That was Caroline Cremen from Adviceworx.